This is Sway.
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 In the morning.
In the morning.
In the morning.
Shake your body.
Wake your punk ass up. Crust out your eyes.
This is my Captain Kirk impersonation.
It's not bad.
Start in the morning. Start date. Go ahead, Neil. Go ahead. Do that.
Captain's log. Start date.
We have Neil deGrasse Tyson is here.
All right, thanks.
Man.
I like the applause.
Heather,
Look at that.
meet Neil. Neil, meet
Hi,
Heather.
Neil.
Hey,
How
Heather,
are
how
you?
you
Nice
doing,
to
girl?
meet you.
All right, good.
Neil does a slew of programming that has...
Wait, you never had me on this show before.
This is your first time on the show, Neil.
What's up with that?
Well,
You don't call. You don't text.
I'm sorry, man. I lost my phone, and I thought
the dog ate it. Yeah, all right.
The phone losing is true, Neil. He's not lying.
I lose my phone, and I thought maybe somehow by watching your show telepathically we would be able to communicate. Neil, I want you on the show.
I got you.
But
I felt a vibe out there. I felt a cosmic vibe.
Is that even possible?
No,
That's
but
not,
go on.
Neil will break it down for you. Can we communicate telepathically? No, Sway. Okay, now you got a new show. It's called Star Talk, and it's airing Mondays on the National Geographic Channel at 11 p.m. One of my favorite channels is National Geographic Channel. I like watching shows about ancient aliens and that sort of thing.
You're an alien guy. You know what happens is people don't believe that ancient humans had any intellect at all, and they say, "Oh, they couldn't have built this. It must have been by aliens." But give our freaking species some credit for figuring stuff out.
Okay, well, that's what I want to ask you, because the other day I was watching this thing about pyramids, and people truly believe that the technology to build pyramids wasn't of this earth, because at the time that pyramids were being made.
So it was Europeans coming to Africa, seeing an amazing civilization that they could not imagine an African build, and they must then invoke some other cause that enabled them to build it. Excuse me, clever people come in all colors.
Yep.
All right?
Okay.
So just because you can't figure out how somebody built a pyramid doesn't mean the people who built the pyramid got help from aliens. That's all I'm saying.
So
just admit that you're not as smart as the people who built the aliens and end the conversation there.
So how do you explain these pyramids being on various continents, whether it's South America, whether it's Africa?
So a couple of things. First, the most stable structure you can possibly build is a pyramid. Pyramids don't tip over.
Okay.
They don't get blown over in the wind. All right? And even when they erode and still keep a pyramid shape. So we could say maybe ancient civilizations built all kinds of structures. They just didn't survive thousands of years of erosion and corrosion. The pyramids are what remain, and now that's what you see around the world. Build a pyramid, try to tip it over. You tell me call me when you do.
Well, I don't know how to build it. All right. You got to send me the blueprints, Neil.
Let's send you the blueprints.
Okay, so
by the way, consider also that when they built the pyramids, were they in a hurry? Did they have a shortage of labor? Of course not. And a pyramid could take 100 years to build with 1,000 people. If you have give me 100 years and 1,000 people, I'll build any damn thing. And without the help of aliens.
Yeah, without the help of aliens.
Yeah.
So all of these stories we hear about, what is that, the Hangar 52 or whatever, and Area 52, and
that's next to Area 51.
Okay. So, do you believe that there's some alien life form out of this world that has technology that has brought aliens in the past to this planet? And
I'm not convinced by what people put forth as evidence in support of that.
Yeah.
And wherever there's a gap in their argument, they have to invoke, it's a conspiracy and it's a cover-up. And anyone who's ever worked for the government or has seen the government operate, they're basically incapable of a cover-up. Look at how much we knew about President Clinton's genitals. If there were ever a cover-up, it would be that, all right? But that's out there and talking about it on the evening news. So if we're stockpiling dead alien bodies or live alien bodies, and you're going to think that the government is going to keep that a secret? You're giving way too much credit to the federal government for pulling something like that off. That's all I'm saying. So, and if we're going to be visited by aliens, why are they so shy? Why are they always going to remote place? Land a damn thing here in Times Square. Then we'll talk about it.
Okay, so your show, and I love this, man. I feel like I'm on your show right now, or in your classroom. Can I sit in one of your classrooms or lectures? And
I can put you on a list. I got a list. Yeah, we got a list.
he
Well,
just
that's
stunted
why
on me. Neil just stunted on me. He said, "Put me on the list."
He could put you
Probably
on
a
the
waiting
list.
list. All right, the Star Talk. Star Talk. What is Star Talk about?
It's a talk show, actually, and we did some homework on this. It turns out it's the first talk show on science on television ever. And that's kind of weird. I think maybe we should have had one earlier, but it's the first one ever. And perhaps what made the jump in species, because that show also airs on Sirius XM, the Insight Channel 121, 7 days a week.
Okay.
So it jumped species from radio podcast to television, and we switched up the model. So it's not a journalist interviewing a scientist. Because who listens to that? Those are people who already know they like science.
Yeah.
How about the people who don't know they like science, or the people who know that they don't like science?
Yeah.
How do you get science to them? So I figured let's switch up the model. I'm the host and I'm the scientist, and my guests are hardly ever scientists. I grab them from pop culture, from the world that you already know about and love and appreciate and might even revere. Bring them in, and I talk about their livelihood and all the way science plugs into their lives. And so this past weekend I had George Takei, Sulu from Star Trek. Right, you're right. Yeah. And we talked about how science fiction has influenced his life and his career, and we talked about some of the gadgets on the Starship Enterprise. Could they happen in the future? And you're going to follow him to that show because you're a fan of as an actor and as a citizen, as an American citizen, and you get to hear a whole conversation about science. On Monday, this coming Monday, I got Christopher Nolan, who directed not only the early Batman movies, but that's not why I have my hype, because he directed Interstellar.
Yes.
That movie had science dripping out of it. And in fact, there's a book called The Science of Interstellar that was published along with the release of the film. We talked about his interest in science.
Well, I want to ask you a few questions about that movie and other movies and the validity of what they put in those movies or non-validity.
They're movies. Just get over that.
The movies? Okay. Oh, come on, Neil. I'm trying to believe something. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines. 888-742-3345.
American citizen.
That was George Takei. And he was appearing on the show Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson that airs Mondays on the NGC National Geographic Channel. And Neil was actually here, and we got to ask a bunch of questions all at once before you have to leave. Okay, and you've been answering them. So, so here's some that I've written down. Is there a reservoir of water in space? Is that true?
Yes. The poles of the moon likely have a huge repository of water, except it's spread out in. It's not like a puddle of water. It's like water molecules mixed in with the soil. It's called the regolith is the official name. And so if we go to the moon and you don't want to bring all the water that you have to drink, we have to find a way to sort of get the water out of there and then if you're going to pitch tent, that'd be a place to do so. And there are plenty of other places that have water. Is not an uncommon thing in the universe. Just to make that clear.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, there are water moons that orbit Jupiter where the entire surface is covered with water, except it's far away, so it's frozen. But deep down below, there's oceans of liquid water that have been liquid for billions of years. That's a target of NASA to look for life.
To look for life there.
Yeah.
I saw that on your show. All right.
He's paying attention.
I was paying attention. I watched
He's paying
your show.
serious attention.
Do you believe in horoscopes?
Right.
So you mean, do I? So Shakespeare knew from the beginning. There's a great quote from him. He says, what is it? The fault lies not in the stars, but in ourselves.
Okay.
And so every experiment you do to test whether your personality is influenced by things that are cosmic, any control test you do, it just fails. So why do people still believe it? I'll tell you why. Because if when you go to your horoscope in the day and you say, oh, what are you, Scorpio, you go straight to the Scorpio and it's written, that's okay, that's going to happen to me. You should try it differently. Do the following. Get someone else to pick one of those horoscopes at random and read it to you. Best do it in an entire room. I've done this experiment.
Yeah.
I picked one at random, read it to a room of 100 people, and I'd say, did I just read your horoscope? 70% of the hands went up. Well, no, of course, it's not 70% of them. So you realize that they're written in such a way that you can find the meaning that you know and need for yourself because of the way each one of those horoscopes are written. And you lift up the things that are most applying to you, and you suppress in your mind the things that don't apply, and you walk away thinking that they're speaking to you because of what time of year you were born. And we've known about this. It's a psychological effect where we remember the hits and forget the misses. Like you pick up the phone and say, I knew it was you, Grandma. And well, how about all the times that you thought it was her and it wasn't? Those don't get remembered as an incident in your life. They get rapidly forgotten. We only remember the hits. And so you can end up thinking that you're psychic or you have special telepathic powers. So we are susceptible to all manner of psychological, to be fooled by our own brain, by our own sense of what is real and what is not. And so, but on top of that, there are 13 constellations in the sky, not 12, that the sun passes through. And in fact, the sun spends more time in Ophiuchus than it does in Scorpius.
See, that's one of those words.
Yeah, are you Ophiucan? Yeah. I mean, if you think you're a Scorpius, you're probably an Ophiucan because the sun is in Ophiucan for more time than it was in Scorpius. And the entire horoscope scale has been shifted by 1 month over the past 2,000 years when it was first laid out, because Earth is wobbling on its axis and changes the relationship of the sun and the sky against the constellations. So most Scorpions are Ophiucans, and all Scorpions and Ophiucans are currently Librans.
Okay. That's
just the facts. But none of the horoscopes tell you that because they're making money off of it. It's $1 billion a year industry. It's a free country, so I'm not going to stop. You don't hear me telling astrologers to stop doing what they're doing. Okay. You don't hear me saying that. You've never seen me debate them. We're in a free country. Do it. But if you want to know what science says about it, it says there is no effect.
Okay. While we have you, 2 more questions I want to ask you.
A quick one. Wait. One of the just so you know how this works. You might have heard that sometimes more babies are born during full moon than other times, and you wonder, was the gravity, is the tidal forces? Well, you can calculate what this is. This is what science does for you. It empowers you to not only understand nature but make predictions related to it and understand what has happened before. So you say, well, no, there's no extra gravity. It turns out for full moon than for any other phase. There's not extra gravity. Gravity is how far away is the moon from you. Full moon is not closer than any other phase, all right? So it's not gravity. So then you find out the average time between full moons is 29 and a half days. And the average gestation period of the human female is 295 days. Not from when you missed your period, but from when you actually got pregnant. It's 295 days. So there are 10 cycles of the moon while you're pregnant. So that if you gave birth during a full moon, that just meant you got pregnant during a full moon. That's all that means.
You were banging out on a full moon.
On the full moon. And no one's going to argue the romantic effects of a full moon. So once you unpack what's going on, you get to see what's actually driving what it is you think is true versus what is not.
Okay. Let me get to a couple callers real quick because I don't want to hog it from everybody.
I got questions too.
Okay, so who you want to
Well, you're not a caller. Go in another room, call in, then maybe he'll take your call.
Okay.
Science, son.
Okay, here it is. Okay, we're going to go to Real Deal in PA. What up, Real Deal?
What up, Real Deal?
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, man? Say hello to Neil and what's your question?
Hey, how you doing?
Dr. Tyson, the question I would like to ask you is I know you're into theoretical physics, and some of your colleagues are Stephen Hawking and Michio Kaku and the other people that I see on the different documentaries.
Yeah. We're friends and colleagues. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, regarding the CERN facility in Switzerland, I thought they were scheduled to have that up and running, I guess, last month, March 2015. Did they do any experiments? Were there any results from that or anything that you're involved in that you could share with us?
Well, they did close down and we're going to reopen, and I haven't tracked what the progress was on the sort of the engineering adjustments they were making, but they did open a couple of years ago and discovered what was called the Higgs boson, the famous God particle, the particle whose field grants mass to other particles that move through that field. If you wanted to be a particle, that's the one you'd want to be. That's a very powerful particle. The Nobel Prize has been given. That particle was discovered in that CERN particle accelerator. By the way, we would have done that here in the United States. We were building an accelerator 4 or 5 times more powerful than the one in Switzerland, but Congress zeroed the budget. And the center of mass of particle physics went across the pond, across the Atlantic Ocean, and is in Europe now. And that's one of the signs that the United States is fading in our leadership that I think most of us took for granted in the 20th century. So they've got more plans going forward, but they hit the holy grail with the Higgs boson, and they've already done that, and that happened last year.
I'm a big science fiction fan. Like you said, they are movies. Contact was one of my favorite movies.
As is mine. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yes,
Okay. We have that in common. And also Interstellar. And I wanted to ask you the possibilities of time travel. Is that?
Well, you got something you want to change in the past?
No, I don't. But I mean, that's something we've chased.
It's too late. You're stuck in the present.
I'm stuck in the present. So I'm not going to go through some black hole and come out in another time.
Yes, no. In principle, actually, if you could go through a black hole and survive it, there are trajectories around the space-time of actually 2 black holes where you can arrive in your own world earlier than when you had left it, and so you can travel into your past. We already know how to go in the future. That you just travel fast, you will age more slowly than everybody else on Earth. And so that's kind of like going into the future.
Yeah.
And that's not as interesting as going into the past. We worry that there might be some fundamental law of physics that would otherwise prevent that from happening. Because suppose you go into the past and prevent your parents from meeting. You don't have to kill one of them. You just have to prevent them from meeting or have them copulate at a slightly different instant than the time that conceived you. If that happens, you will not be born, and you would not have gone back in time to prevent them from meeting each other to then having prevented you from being born.
So you couldn't have went back in time. I get that. Damn, man. I actually get that. All right, go ahead, Heather.
I know, Neil, that you're a fine wine enthusiast. So
you've been reading up on
I've
me
been
here.
reading up on you. So this is going to take some real science.
Okay.
I need a good cheap booze to get drunk off. What do you suggest?
You know, there's good value in Spanish sparkling wines, Spanish cavas. Yeah, yeah. So it's like a third the price of French champagne, and I lived off of that in graduate school back when I was like on a serious budget.
Okay.
Yeah, and Spanish those I love those. Also, well, that's for like bubbly if you're celebrating. But what else? Lately, yeah. Let me think about it. Before I go, I'll hook you up.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Neil, I want to know because usually when people venture this deep into thought,
No, you'd say deep.
deep.
When people venture, make deep work as a word.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Deep.
Nice. Okay, good.
But usually they end up super perplexed and just have a headache, and then it's like, you know what, I need to pause. But for you, you don't waver. But now I'm interested in knowing, with maybe your recent discoveries or your studies, what's giving you a mind fuck?
Oh yeah. So in slightly different vocabulary, I've tweeted the same thing. I've said you should live your life so that every day you learn something that blows your mind.
Right.
And that's the same. That's what you just asked there. And so
I'm a Scorpio, by the way.
which means you're probably Ophiucan. Right. So in my field, our minds are blown all the time. The universe is expanding. What? Into what? What? We're not the only galaxy. There's a horizon on the universe, and you can't see beyond it. Oh, there's a black hole. Oh my gosh, the star is going to explode. I mean, we are like mind fucked every day, all right, in my field. And that makes us quite open to fresh ideas because we don't start the day requiring what the universe should be like. We start the day wide open, ready to receive what the universe is, as revealed by the methods and tools that we develop in astrophysics. So that if you read news stories of new discoveries, and they almost always begin, the journals almost always begin, scientists will have to go back to the drawing board on this one. No, we're always at the drawing board. If you weren't at the drawing board, you were not in the game.
Yeah.
Now, what about if you had the opportunity to become immortal so that you could figure out everything? Would you do that?
I worry that if I were immortal, I would lose focus on the present. I would just say to myself, I've got time. It's the very fact that we're mortal that creates urgency in whatever it is you want and need to do in life. And I value that as a fundamental part of what it is to be human.
Okay. We have like 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Am I taking too long to answer
okay. Not at all. You just have to go to your next gig.
Oh, yeah.
All right. DB has a quick question.
Oh, yeah.
And I have one last
question. Is real quick. Bigfoot, real or fake?
So it's hard to hide colonies of large mammals and have them not show up downtown. You know, I mean, so. Well, no, I mean you can have species of newts that maybe have evaded discovery living in the rainforest, but if you're going to have a gorilla-sized ape man walking around the forest, you're going to at least find its poop, or it's going to stumble on a camper. And now everybody's got a video camera. And we don't have more videos of Bigfoot than what existed 20, 30 years ago?
On World Star.
So I remain unconvinced by the evidence put forward by people who make such claims. And my favorite line about this was the comedian Mitch Hedberg. He said, the prospect of Bigfoot existing is not what scares him. What scares him is the possibility that Bigfoot might be actually out of focus. Imagine an out of focus creature coming out of the it's like, whoa, what the hell is that?
All right, one final question.
Yeah.
You know, you're so popular now. You know, you're like a celebrity in the world of science.
I don't think of it that way. I think of it as science is getting popular, and I'm just on a surfboard writing that fact.
And then you look just like my uncle. And one of the reasons
I don't know what that means.
That means you have an afro.
Everybody's got an uncle that you don't want to be like, right? Okay.
Melanin abundant, and you have an afro.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And you don't often see that, you know.
Yeah.
And has there been any adversity you had to face just based on, you know, your color?
Yeah, less today than yesterday, and less yesterday than the day before. I mean, there has been a slow but real progress in this. The people that say race relations are worse than ever today, no. They're not worse than ever. You know how you know they're not worse than ever? Because now, when an unarmed black man gets shot dead in a city somewhere in the country, it's national news. Rather than when I grew up, it wouldn't make it out of the local news cycle. Mm-hmm. That's how you know we've had progress. I mean, it's a messed up way to think about progress, but we've had progress. And a higher fraction of taxis will pick me up. That was true 10 years ago or the year before. It's not just because they recognize me. I mean, you know, I can cover my head, raise my hand, they'll come by. Yeah. So I have measures of this.
Yeah.
So I talk to any of our parents. They got stories.
Yeah,
right?
Better. Yeah.
They got stories that, you know, and we couldn't move into the housing place when we first moved into the Bronx.
Yeah.
Moved into Riverdale. It was. There were people picketing saying they didn't want, and this is right around when the Housing Act bill was being passed. Mm-hmm. So they got stories that they're different, and we got stories today, but they're not what they used to be. And I'm happy to report.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, Star Talk Mondays, National Geographic.
Can I tell you something quick?
Yes.
It's quick. End of May, we're bringing Star Talk live to the Apollo Theater.
Wow. We gotta go.
In the house.
Make sure, don't forget to rub the log, Neil. All right. And you know what?
I just gotta make sure Sandman isn't there because I don't want to. I don't be yanked off the stage.
But you know what? To our listeners who are calling, you could reach out to Neil directly on Twitter. At Neil Tyson, right?
Yeah, that's right. Then I got like millions of people. So I won't get to everybody, but I'm there. You can find me. You can find me.
If you put Sway in the morning on the hashtag, he'll get back to you.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
man. Neil, thank you for coming by.
All right,
Come
man.
back, man.
All right.
Absolutely, man. I want to get on that list.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.